Hi, I'm Amanda, and I'm from Missouri, and you're watching Shop Audits.
So, I mean, even looking at this though, I mean, 342,000 views, that shows me there's some demand here, right? Somewhere there's demand. So we'll dig into that.
But what this does tell me is we either have some sort of a pricing problem or a traffic quality problem, right? If we're seeing $1,700, almost $1,800 on $1,400 in spend, we're potentially on the right side of that, depending on what our margins are here. If it's costing us as much as we're making, there's something that we need to optimize. So our goal needs to be to figure out what that is.
All right, Amanda. So Dandelions Digital is the shop name. 1 year old, maybe a little bit more, maybe a little bit less, I think you said. The niche is gift givers, sticking point, optimizing prices, Etsy ads, and email marketing. So you have a couple, or a few, I should say. And then total revenue is $6,424.40, which I think is great for your first year. I mean, that's good numbers.
Thank you.
And then your income goal is 10,000 gross revenue per month, I'm going to assume.
Yes.
That's what you would want that to be. Now, couple of questions that we need to address first. And the first one is the gross revenue. So gross revenue, that's top line. What do you want to walk away with?
I'm hoping for 3,000 to 4,000 in profit.
Okay. I think that's reasonable. Yeah. So 10,000, you want to be about 30% margin, 40% margin. I don't think that's unreasonable. Okay, cool. Okay. And then the other thing is, well, let me ask you this. The total revenue, was that mainly Q4? What was the bulk of that?
A lot of that was from Q4. I didn't really start working on this shop until about June of last year. And so went through Q4, and that kind of gave me a boost. Okay. And things fell off shortly after that, and they've started to pick up. I've been consistently adding new products, kind of looked into some new niches. And so it seems like sales are kind of building up again. Actually, this morning I got an order for 4 custom softball blankets. Oh. And it seems like the customized like senior gifts are going pretty well. I have wrestling blankets, softball blankets. Okay. Some other niches there.
Okay. All right. I like that. Yeah, we'll dig into all of that. I think that's great. Okay. So optimizing prices, Etsy ads, and email marketing, we're definitely going to get to that. And we are going to get to the gift givers niche, because that's something that we're probably going to address.
Yes.
So let me ask you this though. We always kind of try to get to like, what's the biggest sticking point? Like, I know it's optimizing pricing, Etsy ads, and email marketing, but like, if you can wave a magic wand, and not as simple as like just more sales, like what is something that you wish that you had, or that you feel like you struggle the most with?
Well, I would say, I mean, you hit the nail on the head. It's the gift givers niche. That's not really a niche so much. I mean, as you'll see in my shop, it's kind of all over the place. So nailing down a more specific niche, or maybe a couple niches, would be good. I have a hard time. I seem to like jump from one thing to another. And I've been testing out a lot of different products and niches. So I guess just having a more congruent shop would be helpful.
Okay. Yeah. I'm glad that you said that, because that's probably where we were going to go. So
just save us 10 minutes.
Yeah. So, Chris, why don't we do this? Actually, we do have, okay, let me go ahead and share what you shared. So basically we have total views, 20,900. Visits is 12,300, and then 373 orders, 6,404. And again, this is the time that you submitted it. I'm sure it's different now. And then that was for all time, which again was for about, like you said, you've been selling since June. Then let me move to the next one here that you submitted. So this is last 30 days. This is when you submitted this. And so we have 2,687 views. We have 1,555 visits, 27 orders, 898 sales revenue, that is. And then your Etsy ads performance. And this is back from December. Then it looks like you probably stopped, or maybe it just wasn't good. and then it started to pick up, and that's your views. So it looks like 342,000 views, 4,384 clicks, 84 orders, $1,791.23 in revenue, and then the spend was $1,404.75. Let me just say, now that custom date there, that's for all time, I believe.
The custom date was when I first started getting orders on a regular basis, which was like the beginning of October last year until today. Or well, it was the 10th.
So I mean, even looking at this though, I mean, 342,000 views, that shows me there's some demand here, right? Somewhere there's demand. So we'll dig into that. A lot of clicks. So clicks are not like just, people that are, passing by. They're actually like clicking in to see what's going on inside. Right. And then 84 orders. Chris, I know you're probably not going to want me to do this, but what kind of rough math do we have on conversion on that?
You're over 1% there. You'd be closer to 2%, I think. Yeah, 1.9. So,
so we're almost at
there's nothing wrong with this inherently, but what this does tell me is we either have some sort of a pricing problem or a traffic quality problem, right? If we're seeing $1,700, almost $1,800 on $1,400 in spend, we're potentially on the right side of that, depending on what our margins are here. But if it's that close, there's some sort of an issue. Now, we are around 2% once we get somebody to click, but if it's costing us as much as we're making, there's something that we need to optimize. So our goal needs to be to figure out what that is. The other question, Amanda, that I had for you was the goal is a gross of 10,000 a month. We've made about 7,000-ish so far. What is your margin now? Do you know?
It's nowhere near 30% now. It has gotten better. I think since I have started working on some higher profit margin products like blankets, pillows, pillowcases, and the such. When I started out, of course, I was working with coffee mugs and t-shirts and sweatshirts, and I couldn't really get a lot of those, ranked or, seen really. So then I kind of switched over and tested a lot of different products. And now I'm working mainly with blankets, like custom sports blankets, like I said, and then some baby milestone blankets. And I just listed them last week. I've gotten a lot of views, no sales on them yet.
Okay. So what was the total sales again for the shop? Hey, real quick, I wanted to give you a little behind the scenes on how these Etsy shop audits even happen. Every single month, Chris Schaefer and I, we meet and we batch record 3 to 4 of these episodes. Then they get edited and they get posted like the one you're watching right now. But what we decided to do is create what we call our Backstage Pass Club. This is where all of our club members, they get to join us on that recording as we're doing it live. The other cool thing is you're able to ask questions, and you also can get access to the recordings before they ever air, immediately, raw and unedited. You even get all the questions that were asked that you might have missed because, well, maybe you couldn't attend that one live. So if you'd like to be part of our Backstage Pass Club and join our next batch recording session, head on over to brandcreators.com/club or click the link in the description. Now, let's get back to the audit. I'm curious.
6,424 it was yesterday when I sent it to you.
Okay.
Right now, it is 6,592.
Okay. So 6,592 orders. So here I'm just looking at, so 373 orders. And then if we look at the ads, it's 84 orders. The reason why I'm bringing that up is because you generated 84 orders. So you spent $1,404 to get those 84 orders. But we also need to consider this, and this is what I tell a lot of people, is when we're looking at, well, let me go back here to this one. Oh, where is it now? Your total, where was the total again? Here, 373. So technically you made $6,400. You spent $1,400 to get those sales. So like, that's not bad. And the reason why I'm sharing that is because the 373 orders, let's just say 73 orders came from ads. That's 300 orders that came organically. Now, did those ads help organically? Probably in some way. Like they probably got you reviews, which helps conversions to get you to that 2%. It probably also helped you organically rank for some of these other terms. So I always like to highlight that, but that means that also we can't keep spending like that. We have to kind of figure that out. So we have either the front end is what you can control on your pricing. So then it's like, okay, what can we do to create better margins? Then the other thing that we can do is look at the spend of 1,400 and go, okay, where did we spend on clicks that we shouldn't have been spending on?
Well, and I'm glad you brought that up because I have a couple products that I feel like I'm kind of hemorrhaging ad money on right now. And I stuck around $10 to $15 in ads a day. And I recently kind of cranked it up just to see what would happen.
I like you. Okay.
Well, I put it at $50 a day. Okay. And I haven't spent anywhere near that per day. But my revenue versus spend has gotten a lot closer together since then. Yep. And that's concerning.
So,
so that's totally normal when you start to ramp things, when you turn them on the first time or when you ramp things up. I would be shocked if it just went pure sales, right? It's going to spend on a lot of things and then we have to kind of pull back and trim back. I think the other problem, just based on this, and when we jump into the shop here in a second, we'll have a better understanding of this, is that potentially we are all over the place with that ad spend. So it may be that if we were able to hone that in on one niche or a few sub niches inside of one niche, that we can massively optimize that spend based on what's selling. And I have a few questions that I already have queued up for you on that, but you also gave us the last 30 days, I believe, right? And we can see that in the last 30 days, I'm guessing you turned this up to $50 around the end of March.
It was, it was a few weeks ago. So I mean, I would say 2 to 3 weeks ago.
Here's the positive thing though, that I want you to see and I want other people to see is you increased budget. You got more views. What does that tell us? It tells us that there's probably more traffic there, right? So you're identifying demand. Now we have to figure out how do we convert, right? So whenever someone's even starting, I recommend they just turn on ads to see what kind of demand we're looking at. So we're not looking at Everbee's tool. I love Everbee. Everbee will tell you, keyword is it's their algorithm that they've built to guess. And it's basically the same for Google and same for YouTube, and anybody that's trying to get search numbers, you're not getting them. The best way to get it is to actually run ads and let Etsy tell you, you got this many views or this many impressions or this many clicks. So this tells me, now we aren't looking this at a granular level though, too. So we would want to drill in to the ads and then look at the ads that are getting more views and being like, oh, those are the ones that are getting a lot of the traffic. We need to focus there. Maybe it's softball, maybe it's basketball, right? And then we can start to almost be like, oh my gosh, maybe we should do more around that. But I definitely think the pricing and figuring out a way to convert higher is something, but I also think trimming not the ad budget, but the amount of clicks by what is getting clicked on and kind of refining that. So instead of spending 1,400, we're spending 1,000, and now we've saved that, but we've made that. Does that make sense?
I definitely agree, and those are two things that I definitely need help with. The refining the Etsy ads and figuring out what I can throw out and what I can't, because I find myself when I'm going through the ads, I have a hard time turning off things because they are relative to the product. But then I've watched a lot of your tutorials where, just because it's related doesn't mean that it's specific enough for you to keep the ads on. Yes. And I get that, but I kind of that's why I wanted to do this. I need a little bit more help telling me what would be considered, keep on and what is, no, get that out of there.
Yeah. And I think I don't know. Did you share any of the keywords that were being?
I shared my first page of Etsy
I got
ads.
That. Yeah. Right there. So, okay, we have this, but we don't have the detailed report. But we can still look at this here, and I'm trying to make this bigger so I can actually see it, even though I got my glasses on. There we go.
And I don't know if it would be possible for me to share my screen. Yeah. I could totally do that as well.
Yeah, let's do that.
Okay.
Let's do that if you could, and then we will we'll be able to actually dig in real time.
Okay.
Yeah, let's see if we can take a look at the feeling wheel, pillow, calm down corner, calming corner, emotional chart, therapy office door, emotional ... Okay. That one to me stands out just because of the sheer number of views that is giving us.
And
the other thing that stands
below
out,
that too, and I haven't gotten any sales on that one, but so many views. So that one was one I wanted to mention also.
So Chris, so right now, Amanda, do you have access to, you can see where it says present?
I can, yes.
Okay. Click that. It'll put you into share either a tab or your screen, whichever you have.
Okay.
And once I see that, I can then insert it into that. There we go. Perfect. So I can add it to the stage.
There we go. Good job, Etsy.
Yeah. All right. So here we are in real time. All right, cool. So yeah, go in. You're probably going to want to go back to the same view and just go back and give us as much data as we can.
Okay. So we want to look at this one first.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
And let's see here.
All right. So if we stop right above that, Amanda, where we're looking at the stats for the listing, we're talking about we spent, what was it, $1,400 to make $1,800?
Yeah.
We see here, this one is upside down, right? We made $50 in revenue for almost $90 in spend. So the very first thing that I'm seeing here is, okay, we had right around a 1% conversion rate, right? Our click-through rate's not bad. What's the problem? The most likely culprit here are some of those, for lack of a better term, vampire keywords that are mildly related, but aren't product specific enough that it's going to result in a sale.
Yes. And as you can see here, I've got a lot of search terms.
Yep.
So yeah, trimming the fat here. And I have tried to weed out a lot of them, but I mean.
All right.
So let's start by
explain to me what a calming corner is and how it relates to this product.
A calming corner is like, something usually for, preschool age kids, if they're having some big emotions, they go to the calming corner. And there can be like fluffy things and stuffed animals and pillows,
So it's like positive timeout.
Yeah. Things to calm a small child.
Yeah. Okay. What I would want to do first is, can we sort this by your clicks? And let's take a look and see. Okay, so this is in order. So emotional support, 1,060 views, 14 clicks. I personally don't know that I would keep running that.
I turned it off already.
Okay. Let's keep moving here. So calming corner, yeah, I think I would probably keep that.
Okay.
Here's where I'm going to slightly disagree. And this is why I talk about keyword intent as much as I talk about keyword intent, right? When somebody types that in, do they mean what our product is? This is a pillow, right, Amanda?
Yes.
So if we come to calming corner, what do we see?
I mean, there's probably a lot of different products.
Right. But almost everything that's ranking here is posters. Right. And then we finally get down to this, but it's an ad, right? So if we're looking at, and there we are, right? Down here towards the bottom of that first page, but we're 30 listings down at this point. What this tells me is that when somebody types in calming corner on Etsy, what they're looking for is not necessarily that pillow. And so if we have a keyword like calming corner, where we're like, yeah, it's relevant to the product, but it's not working for me, this is the first step to check to see if it's going to be a keyword that we leave. If this is my listing, because this is what I'm seeing in the search results, I'm going to turn that off on ads. If I rank for it organically, awesome. If somebody wants to click on my listing here and buy from me, and we start to change the search results page because they're seeing that it's a pillow for that, great. But it appears that when people type this in, what they're looking for is like the educational thing or, the bundles around the calming corner. So I would probably be turning that one off just because of what we're seeing in the search results.
Yeah, it does make sense.
That does make sense. Feelings wheel pillow. Now that one there, I would think would be okay because it is a pillow and it's feelings and it's a wheel. And that's everything describes basically what you are selling. So that one there. I guess the other thing though, Chris, that I was talking about with like the calming corner is, yes, I agree with everything that you just said, by the way, but I'm looking at it as it's 8 clicks, right? Like, is that enough data to tell me it's a bad use of that? Maybe not. Now, the other thing is, this is what we're seeing resulted in a click. There's other clicks that happened in the ads that we don't see. It could be calming corner. So I think even at this point, I would probably, and I love that you did that, Chris, that you went through that exercise, because that exercise, if you showed that to me, you would have said, or you would have proven to me that, you know what, I'm going to turn it off, because the results are clearly people are buying these types of products, not my product. So as much as I want to rank for it organically, I don't want to pay for it.
Right. And that's the difference, right?
Yep.
And it feels like we're throwing the baby out with the bathwater when we do that until you go look at the search results.
Yeah.
Versus feelings wheel pillow.
Yep.
Right. This is the search. This is where we want to be, man. All of these are pillows. Right.
Yes.
All we have to do is make ours stand out.
Yeah.
That's my highest search keyword. Either feelings or feeling wheel pillow.
So the other thing I would say too, even though your click-through rate is really good, when you're showing up there on that page, Chris, if you can go back to that quick. I just know
this one.
Yeah. So if we're looking at all the pillows, like if you're searching for that, we're looking at the pillows. They're all looking pretty much the same. So I would try to think to myself, what could I do to make that stand out? And I personally think, and it might be hard for you to do if you don't have the ability to do it, but is to have a kid in there with the pillow.
Okay.
Because no one else is doing it.
That's a great idea.
And you see a face. So
can I say I love what you did for your video here?
Oh, that. Thank you.
That is
so
cool.
For everybody who's like, I can't create videos because I don't physically have the product. Amanda just solved your problem in a really cool way that really stands out.
Yeah,
which is
just the color.
All the images of the different colors as a GIF.
And as an
right?
MP3,
Like
this
doesn't have to be rocket surgery.
Yeah.
I thought that was cool.
Yeah, that's really cool. So yeah, okay. So Chris, go back to the to her screen so we can go ahead and dig a little bit deeper. So anxiety relief. Okay. It got 3 clicks. Again, not really sure that that's relevant, although it could be, but I don't know if I want to pay for it. It's so broad. Feelings wheel. Yes, I probably would, because it is a wheel. It is about feelings and it's put in the calming corner. So maybe,
well, in my thinking there was, I'm sorry.
Just look at the search results.
My thinking there was that if they're typing in feelings wheel and then it's automatically coming up, to finish that, and then they click on pillow.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm not opposed to that. And again, it's only 3 clicks, but I'm not opposed to leaving that in there because it is a feelings wheel. It's just it's a pillow.
This one to me is more of a borderline case, right? Obviously, we see a pillow here in the ad, but then most of the stuff that's ranking organically is just the wheel. As we get down here, then we do again see, okay, the pillow is there. Mm-hmm. It's not 50 listings down the page because of the low number of clicks right now. I don't know that I would worry as much about that one. And it's directly related to the product versus, Scott, what was the other one that you were just talking about? Anxiety relief.
Yeah.
That one, probably not relevant. Again, Amanda, you already turned that off to your credit, right? So that's probably going to be, a better example of a really obvious one, because even if it is for anxiety relief, what people are probably meaning when they type in there, and you guys can do this with me right now, open up a new tab and go to Etsy and type in anxiety relief and see what comes up. It's probably going to be the the stuffed animals that you can put like the pad in the microwave and then they're warm, right? Like some of those kinds of things are probably what's going to come up for that.
Yeah. Yeah. So, anything else we can dig in here, or do we want to move to a different one?
Well, if you just wanted to scroll down pretty quickly, just to see, that way you can see what I did leave and what I turned off. So obviously I left everything with the word pillow in it.
Yep.
Cushion, anxiety wheel. Wasn't sure about that one.
Mm-hmm. It did get marked though,
or something.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's not a lot of clicks on these either. So
Yep.
Yeah.
So that one there, I mean, again, you almost got to just let that one run. But I think you turned off the one there that we had. Again, you don't know if there's any other ones that have resulted in those clicks, because it's only showing you 99 clicks, but there's 223. You know, so sometimes we don't have control over that, but we can only control what we have. But I would definitely also, you're getting the clicks on this one here, but on the clicks themselves, again, someone might be looking for that wheel. They might have just thought it was interesting to see it on a pillow, you know? And again, so inside of that listing, do you call that stuff out in your tags and things? And the reason why I'm asking that is because you may almost need to, if you don't want to show up for those other things in the Etsy ads, you almost have to like take those things out.
Well, I mean, so could you elaborate? Because I mean, I've got phrases like emotional support pillow, you know, right. So you would say like this stress anxiety relief gift. Maybe I should take stress anxiety relief out.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Because you're showing up for that stuff because it's in your title, you know, anxiety relief. Right. So you're showing up for anxiety relief because, you know, it's in your title. If you were to remove that, it's not going to happen immediately, but then you would be less likely to show up for that. Now, do you want to not show up for that in organic? I don't know how much you're going to get from that, because it's not an exact match of what people are searching for. Like, to me, the biggest search for you is like the feeling wheel pillow. Yeah. Like that's your top one.
Yeah.
Hey, I wanted to cut in here real quick. If you're wondering what tool we're using to gather all of this information and to really make these important decisions on products, well, the tool is called Everbee. It's the only tool that we personally use for everything Etsy. They have everything from product research, keyword research, and they also offer email marketing now. That tool you can get access to absolutely free when you visit brandcreators.com/Everbee, and you'll get 10 free searches for the month. You can try it out before you invest in this tool. My recommendation is every single Etsy seller should be using this tool. So if you want to try it, go to brandcreators.com/Everbee, and you can go ahead and get access to it immediately. All right, let's get back to the audit. So these are the tags, Chris, in the listing?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay. And this is a good example actually of why we're showing up for these things, right? We see calm down corner. We see emotional wheel of emotions, emotional pillow, mental health pillow, right? That one's probably a little bit broad. Therapy pillow, psychological pillow. Again, nothing inherently wrong with this selection, right. But what we do see here is the reason why we're showing up for a lot of those things in ads that might not be as hyper relevant to the product. And this is all part of understanding what's going on there, right? We have to try to rank for stuff, see what Etsy's showing us for, and then come back and go through this evaluation.
Yeah. Yeah. But I think the good thing is there is definitely a lot of traffic here. So I think the one thing that you would want to do here is you kind of build off of that, you know, around that. Like you said, you're doing some things that are, you know, more sports stuff, more softball, more. So to me, like if you're going to do this, you need to add more products about this.
Yes.
Right. About the corner. Right. And what else could you add in there? Some artwork, some other items.
Mental health gifts is kind of where I was going with that, because emotional support gifts is a really good, niche to be in.
Yep.
So that's kind of where I was going with that.
The other thing, and again, we should probably jump in and look at your shop. We're looking at all this stuff on the back end, and it's great. This is good data. But I know the front end, based on what you said, and I'm going to take a little bit of liberty with what you said, it's a little bit of a mess. It's kind of all over the place.
Yeah.
Right? And what I'm seeing here, and this seems to be something that lights you up, and I don't want to put words or a niche in your mouth, but the like preschool support, right? Young kids, emotional support type stuff. There's a lot of room in that space. And you're getting a lot of things here. And this is the other thing I want you and a lot of people who are watching this to take away. Amanda, if we go back to that ads data and you look at the keywords we turned off, we know that those are all relevant keywords for this niche. And they're all potential product ideas. They're just not right for this product. So if we look at the wheel of emotion, right? The calm corner, okay, we turned that off because that's not a relevant paid search term for this product. You know what I'm doing when I go back into that product creation season? I'm creating me some calming corner charts, right? And I'm going to launch those on Etsy just to add that to my product suite.
Yeah.
So that's kind of the beauty of being able to niche down.
I was planning on actually doing that, but I stopped myself, and I'll tell you why. Because I had already learned 10 different products. And so then I was going to get into wall art. And so at that point, I kind of stopped myself and worked on just more products that I knew, and was trying to get more listings in my shop that way before I branched off and distracted myself with learning a whole new product, if that makes sense.
Yeah. I think the opportunity here for me is pretty clear. Again, Chris, if you could pull up the shop, maybe we can start looking at the shop. But like you said, you're trying to tap into different niches. And I think that's fine in the beginning. I mean, it's not how I would approach it, but it's what you've done. And I think that's okay, because now you have some really good data. You have some strong data. But now to me, it's about, all right, how do we really focus on the one thing and build it out? And I think right now, like, mental health is a big deal. It's a big deal. And you can create products that, number one, make people feel good, but also act as tools to help people. The calming corner is for kids. It's not necessarily for people our age. There's going to be stuff for people our age too, right? There's going to be things for people that now they want better mental health, so they are going to do meditation. So now you have stuff for the meditation corner for the adult. You know what I mean? Like, so you have, to me, there's a lot of room here, and it seems really, really congruent, to build product lines for children, for adults, for teenagers. Now we're talking. Now these are cute, the baby growth things. And I'm not saying that you can't still have that, because, it's still related to children, but I would probably, like, yes, you've got this stuff. I wouldn't say you have to go and delete it or even archive it, but I would start personally focusing on that mental health side and really the calming corner. I would start by building out a whole product line for the calming corner. Like, buy the calming corner bundle, it's like, get it right here. And you put that, we talked about building an email list. If you put that up on Facebook and did that type of giveaway, oh my gosh. Like, and then, the great thing about this, and again, this is what happens when we do these, is we just start getting ideas and we start brainstorming. But I think our ideas and our brainstorming starts to become more focused for you, to where you're able to focus on one area versus focusing on, like, okay, I want to do softball blankets for, kids. I want to do basketball, and then I want to go and do other sports, instead of it being like, okay, what's more things that we can create for the calming corner, or what's other things that people are needing outside of the calming corner? There's probably other aids or other things. And so that's really the only focus. And clearly there's traffic because you've demonstrated it and you've gotten it from looking at your Etsy ads. So anyway, that was a little bit of a rant there, but I think I'd get excited about this to myself.
I think Amanda's problem here is instead of finding one good niche in a sea of terrible niches, she found a few good niches, right?
Yeah.
The like kids sports niche is awesome. The problem is it doesn't really mix with I'm just going to make this up, the raising great kids niche, which is more of the like calming corner, early education type of stuff. This type of stuff, you have the potential to get a lot of bulk orders on, right? You're going to get the high school softball team to order one of these for every kid or whatever, right? It doesn't really mix with the early childhood stuff. And so I'd like to see you, wherever your passion is, I think you can make either of those two things work. It's up to you. And then I know you have like some of the dark Victorian horror stuff. That's just kind of its own. It's really kind of off in its own thing. But again, it sells. Like you're putting stuff up and it sells, and that becomes a very tough problem to get out of because it feels like you have to keep doing all of those things. But if you can pick one direction, you seem to have a knack for picking products that are going to sell. If we can help you focus that, be it on the youth sports, be it on the early childhood stuff, be it on dark Victorian horror blankets, right? Whatever that is, that's going to actually accelerate your progress tremendously. And
maybe I need to put the dark Victorian horror blankets in a different shop.
That doesn't really go next to the Jackson Effort Safari Milestone blanket.
No, I'm aware.
And I think, and Scott,
it's gotten a lot of traffic though.
And that's why I said it's your curse, right? Like you're picking all of these things that actually have the potential to sell. Now let's focus that on one of these things. You're going to have less products or fewer products to create, and you're going to get a much bigger sales volume out of it. It's also going to allow you to start pushing up that price point a little bit. And that is something I think that's going to be very important for you. Your average sale, based on the real quick, terrible math that I did, was just over $17, right? And if we're paying ads on that, we're only going to be making a few percentage points. You said you want to make 30 to 40% net margins. That is doable, especially with the early childhood stuff, because people want quality. What is the first thing people think of when they see price? If you saw two of these side by side, this pillow, right? Or this pillow, feelings are okay. You see one for $4 and one for $30. Your immediate thought is the $4 one is hot garbage, right? And when people are buying stuff for their kids, for their pets, for anybody that they care about, they're more concerned about quality typically than are about price. And if we can hone this in on one niche, focus on creating good designs on quality products, we can start to bump that up. Even if there's some other people selling a feelings are okay pillow for $12, we can get away with selling it at 20, 25, or 30. Because one, you have that association with price and quality. And two, we can get them in on the printable feelings corner, calming corner bundle. And once they become a customer, they go, I love Amanda's stuff. So instead of going to Etsy search and typing in feelings wheel pillow, they go to your shop, look for it, and you avoid the price comparison entirely. And so if you're able to niche down with something like that, it's going to help you increase your margins, and it's going to hone that creativity that you have.
Okay. Well, I hear you completely. 2 questions.
Sure.
So you brought up, going to my shop, so what do you think of the shop name? Is that something that I should change? Because I did start this shop initially as a digital product store, and I've obviously moved away from that. And the logo, I don't know if that, is too light. I'm not even sure if that's legible.
Right.
But those are things I figured that I would need to work on also. And so back to other mental health products. So am I going to be able to make those kinds of profit margins on like wall art, as opposed to like I've found blankets, pillows have good profit margins, but does wall art or printables? I mean, I guess printables would, because it's like 100% profit margin.
low dollar value, high margin, right?
Mm-hmm.
A canvas print, you can absolutely do that with, right? The digital file is only ever going to be $5, maybe $10 if you're doing that, but you can also create the printed version of that for $40. And as long as they make that quality association, you're going to be able to sell that. Are you going to sell 1,000 of them a month like you might at $5? No, but your making money with it. And I think that's kind of the goal at the end of the day, right? It's not all about volume. It's about profitable sales. And if we can get you to that $10,000 a month revenue goal, then our secondary goal needs to be to get that profit there. And if we can make you that 30, 40%, which you should be able to do with those things, you're going to be able to do that.
Okay. Well, I intentionally set pretty low pricing just so I could get enough sales to have some, have some reviews, have some public proof that my shop is reliable. So I'm not sure what point it is when I should start kind of high raising those prices,
Well, I think first off, and I want to go to your first question, which is like, should you rename, rebrand? Mm-hmm. Personally, I would, but only if you're going to focus on one of these, right? If you're not, and you're just going to keep mixing, then just keep it as is, and just, keep, these different pockets. But me personally, and this, again, I'm just telling you what I would personally do, is I would be building out this thing for the mental health side. Okay. And I would be, doubling down on that because I know there's so much more reach. I'm also a content creator. Like, that's what I do. I mean, we do that. I've been doing that for years. There's a lot of content that can be created for this market. Now, not that you're going to be a content creator, but there's a lot of people that want positivity. They want these things as reminders. They want to know that they're not alone. There's pillows that you could create that have a fun, positive, saying or quote. So there's a lot of things. The other thing is like, if you're going to build an email list, you're going to build 3 email lists, 4 email lists. Like, you're not going to, sell one of those, state champion flags and then have that person opt in to be on your email list, and you're going to send them, a mental health pillow, right? It's just not there. So for me personally, like, this is exactly what I would do. I'd focus all on that. I'd build my email list over on Facebook running a bundle. I'd build out the comfy corner. That's where I'd start, build out that whole thing. I'd advertise it on Facebook to build my email list to even just 500 email subscribers. And I would start messaging those people with various products or new products or sales that I'm running. And I would let them know that, the reason why you're doing it because you want to have a positive impact on the world. You have young children. You want to make sure that they grow up a certain way, like whatever, you share your story.
Right. And that makes for a pretty good story.
Yeah. And that's the business model. Like, and there's so much demand. There's so much opportunity here for all of this, because you could target young adults, or young kids, teenagers and adults. So there's these different segments of this niche.
So Scott, and I'm just talking this through in my own head. So I'm just going to throw this out to you and to Amanda. You said you'd go after the mental health angle of this. Is that kids, teens, and adults? Or are you just going after and I think I said earlier, the like raising decent human beings niche, the like how to actually equip your children and make sure that they're good humans niche? Or are you going more mental health broadly?
Well, I think I'm going off of the comfy corner. You know what I mean? Like, the comfy corner is to raise good kids, but it's also to raise kids that have good mental health. You know what I mean? So it's kind of like, it crosses itself. So I'm looking at that, but I'm also looking like, I'm going to also look into the mental health side and anxiety and all of those other things that are so, people are aware now, and they're willing to talk about it. So I think that's what I'm saying. I'd start really already where you have momentum, Amanda, and then I would start to build on those other pieces.
Well, it sounds like that would give me a lot of room to grow.
It would. It'd give you tremendous amount of room to grow. And it's something that independently over here, forget Etsy for a minute. You put everything over here on Shopify. You can run traffic on Facebook. You can run traffic on Google. And that traffic is there. And there's a huge amount of people that are, or potentially could be your customers. So that's what I would do. And I would rebrand 100%.
What I think I'm looking for, Scott, is when you're talking about mental health, are you looking at, so let's say Dandelion Kids or Dandelion Health is your new shop, right? We're just renaming this for Amanda here on the fly. Are you launching a bunch of things around kids' mental health immediately and then niching up? Or are you just like anything that's mental health related?
No, I would probably start with the kids because we're looking at Comfy Corner. Everything to me is building off a Comfy Corner, and then we're building out from there. We're building out. And then once I kind of max that out to where I feel like I got a lot of stuff here and I'm getting orders now that are $100, not $17. And I'm like, oh, people are adding 3 things. They're buying the pillow, they're buying the sweatshirt, and they're buying the wall art, right? Whatever. Now I'm like, okay, cool. Let's start looking at teens because teens is a whole nother side. That's
so I can keep my sports blankets in there because, sports are good mental health for
they are. You could leave them in there, but I wouldn't personally spend more time on that.
All right, I hear you. I just want to keep them because I had a 9 blanket order a couple weeks ago because a woman ordered one for every coach in the school.
Yeah.
And then this morning I got a 4 blanket order.
Yep.
And so, maybe I won't add to that, but
yeah,
and that's why I said you're in a habit and you're in the dangerous habit of picking good niches. The problem is they don't really go together, right? And so I would leave them in. I don't know that I would expand that, but what you're going to see is as you start to roll out more of the kids' mental health stuff, you'll start to see, yes, it's not a 9 blanket order, but they're ordering 2 or 3 things in every order. And then as you start to advance into the teen stuff, you have the screen here pillow, right? You have all of the different ways that teenagers can vent themselves. And then, the young adults and the adult stuff, that's the wrong way to phrase that. The thing for grownups, you can start to add into the shop as you work your way through that. And I think it also plays really well into your story, right? Which is you're like, I have some young kids.
Well, I have an 18-year-old. I have an 18-year-old also. I have an 18-year-old, an 8-year-old, and a 5-year-old. So I've got all the ages.
Here's the things I've found that have helped. Here's the things that the research say helps. And what we're here to do is help you raise good, mentally sound kids. And we're going to give you all of the resources and the products to make that available to you.
Yeah. I like all that. And as far as, like you said, the blankets or the flags, I just wouldn't add to it. That is where another shop would probably come into play, but I wouldn't advise that because then that distracts you and then you got more things to manage. And,
that's why I haven't really worked on another one.
And I get it, right? You get an 8 blanket order and you're like, cool, that's awesome. But are those people going to buy more in the future? They won the state championship once.
Probably annually, maybe, maybe they might come back once a year when they're looking for senior graduation gifts or, something for school age kids.
Right.
My, one question though. So how many products would you work on and what type of products would you work on for that niche?
That's a tough question to answer without kind of digging into the research. I would start with the research. I'd start Comfy Corner and I would start to see like, okay, what other things are selling in the Comfy Corner? Let me start there. So I think that's where I would spend my time. As far as how many products, it just depends on how much bandwidth you have. It's like, I would probably say 3 to 5 I would want to start with that could add to what you already have. And that have good demand. It looks like Chris has Everbee pulled up. So what are you looking at here, Chris?
Yeah, so I typed in Comfort Corner because even though we've said Comfy Corner 100 times in the last few minutes, I still don't know what it's called. But
it's a calm down corner.
Okay, calm down corner.
Calm down corner.
Okay. Calming corner, calm down corner.
Calming.
But this product research process becomes very easy. The first thing you can do is look at the keywords that you were showing up for that you turned off in the ads because they're all relevant. Yep. Right. We're going to bring those back, type those in. But even if we just look at the calm down corner, I'll get this before we get off here. We see flashcards with emotions. We see posters with different ways of calming down, right? The what zone are you in poster. There's a lot of these things that are associated with this that we don't necessarily have in the shop right now. And it doesn't mean that we're going to copy any of these, but we can take these ideas and start to make them our own. We're going to have the pillows. We're going to have potentially a weighted blanket or something, right? Because that's something that helps people calm down. And then we're going to have hey, can you help express the emotion through the feelings thermometer or through the flashcards? And that gives them all the tools that they need for when their kid is not calm and needs to be put in the calm down corner. it gives them the full suite of things that they would need to be able to deal with that situation.
Yeah. I agree. I think everything Chris just said, I mean, right off the top of my head, I mean, you sell a pillow with the chart there, right? Mm-hmm. But do you sell that on a poster?
No, but that was my next step with that. And then I got sidetracked.
Yep.
And went on to, a different product, different niche.
Exactly. So, I mean, right there, I mean, that's like first step is like, okay, I sell it on a pillow, but maybe people don't want a pillow. They want a poster, so I'm going to do a poster, or a blanket, you know what I mean? Like you can add that on those other products. So that's kind of where I would start, but I'd be building off of the calming corner.
Okay.
What was I calling it? The comfy corner?
Calling corner, comfy corner,
comfy corner,
coping corner.
I mean, there's a lot of different words for it.
Yeah. And then Chris, like you showed that one poster, like the mental health poster, like that looked kid friendly. It's like, there you go. There's another one, right? Like it might not go in the calming corner, but it's still a poster and people are buying it. So maybe we add that. So that I would just follow the lead of the other products in this space that are selling. And I would also try to find other shops that have been successful and see what other products they have been trying to sell. Because then they're going to test it for you. And then you're going to go, oh, they tried selling these 20 products and 3 of them are their top sellers. I'm starting there.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I mean, Scott's right. I think I get a little bit research happy. And so then I find, good opportunities and I get a little sidetracked and work on those for a while. And
yeah,
that's
fun,
that positive
right?
niche selection curse that you have, right? Is like
it's
you do enough research.
Yeah, it's fun doing the research. It's fun doing the product creation. It's not so fun for me. It is, but it's not so much fun to always do the marketing, right? It's like, it's fun to find and create. I actually like it the other way. I like to not have to do all that other stuff. And I like to just let's see if we can market this thing.
Yeah. I think the marketing is my biggest issue too. Cause that's really what hasn't come second nature to me. The designing, researching was all good, but the marketing is where I have some issues also.
Yeah. So I would spend some time, again, doing that, building that out. I definitely say once you get a nice little bundle together, I'd probably build that email list through Facebook and try to do a little giveaway and see what kind of interest you get there. And then you got a nice little email list of people that are interested in, the comfy corner bundle. Okay. And then from there, you just happen to sell all that stuff in your Etsy shop. You're not giving them something that you don't already offer. And you're bringing awareness to your shop. So that's probably number one, what I would do once you get your products built. And then that's going to be some of the marketing that's going to go into it, but you're building an asset that just doesn't market once. You're going to be able to use that to market over and over and over again.
So how would I do that specifically? I mean, I would just put a bundle together and do a giveaway on Facebook and then just collect all the emails that were interested in participating in the giveaway.
Yes. And we've talked about it on the YouTube channel. We've walked through it, but we do have a full training. It's under $100, but it's a case study where we actually walk through coming up with the giveaway idea, then how you're building the giveaway, and then from there, how you're collecting the emails, and then how you're getting the emails into Everbee email or whichever program you want to use, and then how are you sending the emails.
Okay. Well, I need to look into that video then, because I have watched a lot of your content where you're talking about, Everbee email. And I started using that. I think I actually have 150 some subscribers on that. So I've started an email list. I just don't know exactly what to do with it now.
Yeah. And again, we've done some videos of as far as what do you send, and because a lot of people get hung up on that. What do I send these people? And it's you basically send them something pertaining to what you just did in your shop, whether you just started a sale or you just added a new product, right? So a lot of times it's just an update. I had some quiet time while my kids were in school. I designed this new pillow or this new design, and I really think it come out nice. I'd love to know your thoughts on it. And oh, by the way, we're doing a special launch this week, 25% off. That's it. Done. It's really easy.
Doable. It's just I need to work that into my my workflow, into my You
do. Yeah. I think it's focusing on this area now, building out the right products, and then building the email list, marketing using the email list, but then also the Etsy ads will now be driving people to your shop. And even though you might be a little bit either break even or didn't make that much on the ads, you're still building a customer base that will allow you to eventually sell them more stuff. Or they might buy more stuff when you relist something and they get a notification, or you change the price on something, or you added a sale and then they're going to get a notification. It's related. Like if you had someone buy your flag, or your like you said, someone just bought 8 things, but they get a notification tomorrow that you're running a special on something, they're probably not going to buy it. They're like, I already bought for this year. Done. Right. But if you get someone that just bought one thing for the comfy corner, and then a month from now you added something or something that's related to that, they might be like, oh, that's a cool idea, I'm going to buy that. So
that makes
there's a lot that goes there. Yeah, with that. So, all right, I think you've got some homework to do. All right. So yeah, just a little, not bad. Is there any other quick questions, or are you good? Obviously, if you have anything else, let us know. And if not, we will let you go and you can get to work.
I think you've answered most of my questions. I was curious kind of as far as what you've seen in my shop right now. What do you think of the pricing? Should I maybe try to increase the price, and also
I'm trying to be as subtle as possible, but yes, that needs to happen at some point.
Yes. Yeah. I'm aware. I just I tried to start out so I could get some sales.
I think that's great.
And I feel like I need to incorporate more listings with free shipping. So try to put that shipping into the price. So,
yeah. And so I would say on the pricing thing, I would just inch it up.
Okay.
Right. I think you still want to run sales. So I would just inch it up.
I try to always run sales like either 25 to 30%, and I'll run it like you guys have, mentioned, maybe 7-8 days at a time.
Yep. Yeah. And I would just work from that. But again, I think right now getting sales is going to be the best thing for your shop and for you building a customer base. So I'm not opposed to continuing to do that for a little while, but yeah, inching it up, maybe just even on certain products that have already been kind of seasoned in a sense, and then inching those up. But I would, I think the biggest thing right now for you is to just get those other products wrapped around that product that's doing pretty well and that's getting a lot of traffic, and then just starting to really kind of hone in on that.
Put blinders on and only focus on one thing. Okay.
Yes. All right. Well, hey, Amanda, thank you so much. And you definitely are going to want to update us because we want to know and how things are going. But I would say, I don't know, 30 to 60 days, give us an update. And then who knows, maybe in the future, we'll get you back on and we can do a live update and see where you're at.
Yeah, sounds great. Thank you both so much. I appreciate it.
No problem. Good luck. Okay. So that's a wrap for this Etsy shop audit. But if you want to watch more, well, you can find some more right here. And if you do, well, I'll see you there.